Hello, welcome to Brap Life. My name's Angel. Thank you guys so much for listening week in and week out. I apologize for missing last week. I was really trying to upload from Europe, but I just couldn't get connected to the internet, at least not high speed internet. I was able to get out small videos, but even that was really hard to do on Instagram. So, getting the podcast out was just not going to happen. So, I apologize for not giving you guys advance warning on that, but we are back. So this week is with Logan Cipala. He is a racer from the Midwest. He focuses mostly on hill climb, but he kind of does every discipline. He's done hard enduro, he does enduro, he's done hare scramble. So you kind of see him all over. He's a well-known name in the Midwest. And I had thought that I had heard of him in hard enduro before, and I was kind of gaslighted to think that no, he's just a hill climber, but I was right. So it was really cool to sit down and talk to him and kind of learn a little bit about him. And if you guys don't know, Logan, his brother, and his friend Joel recently started their own podcast. So it's called Find the Line, and I believe it's available on Spotify, YouTube, the usual places. And it's really cool. They have a very different take on how they interview, and it's really awesome. So you get kind of multiple viewpoints, and I really like it. I'm enjoying it. So highly recommend you guys jump on over and check that out. But in the meantime, stay tuned, listen to Logan's story, and we'll see you next week.
Uh, I really appreciate you doing this. This is really cool because I had you on my list, and you've been on my list for a while because my list includes people who are nominated, right? So people tell me, oh, I think it'd be really cool to hear from this person or get this person's aspect, and so you've been on it for a while. I just have a lot of people, and then you went and started your own podcast, and I was like, okay, now I've got to really get him on here because before we get started with everything else, I do want to know kind of like what was the idea behind your podcast?
Yeah. Well, first off, I really appreciate being on here. I always love being able to talk and get to know people all over the country. It's what we get to do. So that part's really cool.
Yeah.
One of my best friends who he got back into riding when I was like 14 or 15 years old. And we've just become super close over the years. He got asked to be on a hill climb only dedicated podcast. And then he kind of got burnt out of that a little bit and felt like his voice had been heard and was kind of running out of what he wanted to do, but he loves listening to podcasts, loves talking. And he asked if I would ever want to start one. And I'm like, dude, I've been wanting to start one forever because I like it. I'm just not great at it. And I'm like, I'm not just going to sit in front of a microphone and talk to myself for an hour and a half every week because I'm not that talkative. So it was a perfect opportunity. And then he got my brother involved, who is just a wizard behind the computer with editing and filming and marketing and all that. So it's kind of like a really cool triple threat that we've got going on. Like, he's great with the producing. Joel is just incredible with keeping the conversation going and asking good questions. And then I'm like the quote unquote racer, I guess you could say. I'm going all over the place racing, and I hope to provide valuable insight throughout, which sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But either way, I could talk like I know what I'm doing.
No, it's really funny because like I have you on my list, and then actually Joel was recently nominated, and the person that nominated him, I was like, didn't he just start his own podcast? I was like, isn't he the one doing it with Logan? And they were like, wait, what? And so I sent them your guys' podcast, and so
That's funny.
it was really funny. But I mean, it's such a small world in like the off-road community, and I feel like there's not enough media. I always say this about hard enduro, but in off-road in general, there's definitely not enough media coverage on it. And I think that these kinds of podcasts get that out there for people who maybe didn't even know it was a discipline. I didn't know about hill climbing until last year. So
yeah.
And I lived in Minnesota and North Dakota. So I was actually like leaving North Dakota when I found out about it. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was so surprised because I didn't know you had been in Minnesota for any amount of time. And like in North Dakota and Minnesota, like where there's motorcycles, the hill climbing community is really strong. So it's crazy. Like you said, it's a small world, but people don't even hear about or know about some of these disciplines. And especially with moto climb and hill climb, it's so niche that it's hard to get it out there to people.
Yeah, which was crazy, which is one of the big reasons why I wanted to have Jay on, was because like, I mean, I had met him and his wife, and you know, all of the Jelinex, they just kind of come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
But I had met them, and I know Matt Musgrove, and so seeing him and knowing his involvement, I was like, what is all of this even? Like, I don't even understand. It's just climbing on a bike. But then when I started like watching videos and stuff, I was like, okay, this is really cool. And I started doing like some little baby hill climbs, and I'm like, okay, I could definitely see how this would be fun to like race. I couldn't
Oh
do it,
yeah.
at least not yet. Not yet. Soon. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it's really cool to explore something different. And like, this podcast is all about just the stories of riders, so it's not like technically hard enduro specific. I just happen to know a lot of people in hard enduro, so
Yeah.
that's kind of where it's gone. But I'm trying to highlight other disciplines, because there's a lot of people who don't just want to do hard enduro, they want to do anything they can on a dirt bike. So some of those people maybe will start going into the moto climb community, and so that'd be really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm in the same boat. Like even with our podcast too, we want to get everybody involved and everybody talking and get more eyes in for our sport and get more eyes into other
Yeah.
sports from ours. And I'm the same way. I love riding whatever I can ride, wherever it is, and just doing what I can on my bike as often as I can do it.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. And I mean, this podcast specifically is like, so we're in 24 countries now, and we have had people start riding after listening to this podcast. Like, I don't know, I think we're up to like 8 or 9 people who've bought dirt bikes now, and people who've decided to try different disciplines. And so it's really cool. I get a lot of feedback from people about it, and I just think it's the coolest thing ever, because I was like, I just wanted to start this to tell people stories so you would know what's going on with the dude who's lining up next to you. And now it's grown into this huge thing, and there's like all kinds of inspiration happening. And so I'm just like super stoked about it. But the
Yeah.
biggest thing for me is that these stories resonate with people all over the world. The fact that there's 24 countries downloading these, and like people are still like messaging me, and they're like, oh my god, I want to hear more from this person, and I really hope this person does well. And like, I think that's the coolest thing.
Yeah, that's what I love about it too, and it's so cool that you can. It feels like you're getting to know somebody when you get to listen to this one-on-one conversation that they have and hear their stories, and that's part of
Yeah.
what I love doing about it and hearing is like I've
Mhm.
been lucky enough to meet a lot of the big names throughout the sport, or a few of them, I guess I should say, and I'm just always
Mhm.
so interested on what they did to find their success and how they did it, and how they're surviving through it, or making their money, or whatever it is,
Mhm.
and how they're living. It's so unbelievably interesting to me. And it's all driven by just
Yeah.
searching for success on two wheels, or searching for the fun on two wheels, or
Yeah.
that adrenaline rush, or whatever it is. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think it's so awesome.
Mhm.
And for me personally, like, I feel like you're probably the same way from what I've heard, is that like I draw inspiration off of it. So like that's what keeps me going. Like, I get fired
Mhm.
up when I start talking to somebody and I see their passion come through, then I get all excited, and I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. So
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
that's just me.
Mhm.
But cool. Well, I'm really stoked about the podcast. How many
Mhm.
episodes do you guys have now?
I think I think we just aired our 5th one. So we've got probably one in the chamber
Okay.
ready to air. And then we've got our next guest lined up in the near future here. So pretty fresh.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, when I saw you guys post about it, like that first one, I was like, "Whoa, what is this?" So
Yep. Yep.
it was so cool.
Yeah.
So
It's super
super, super
exciting.
stoked, like I said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's get into your story. So
Mhm.
how did you get started with dirt bikes? How did you get started riding, and what did you get started on?
Yeah, I'm extremely fortunate, and my parents actually met at a hill climb, believe it or not. My dad's uncle got him into, and my mom's dad got her into it. And then at some point, I
Mhm.
think my mom was 14, 15, something like that when they actually met. So they've spent obviously a majority of their lives together. And then they had
Mhm.
got engaged, got married, obviously, and then had 3 kids. Myself, I'm the oldest, and then my younger sister Lauren and my youngest brother Luke. We all started racing started racing hill climb, sorry, and then did a little bit of motocross in between there. I had a JR50 for my first bike at age 3, and I
Mm.
started racing at 4, and then my siblings were both followed the same path, except they had P-dubs instead of JRs because they had way better bikes by the time they started getting grown up. So yeah, it's been now for me, like I just signed up for my AMA card this year, and I'm officially a Charter Life
Mhm.
member. So I'm super proud of that, and I cannot wait to get my 25-year
Wow.
card in the mail.
That's crazy, but that's so cool. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. It's pretty exciting, and dirt bikes have obviously been a major part of my life for as long as I can remember. We haven't really done much without them.
That's really cool. I wish that that had been my life, but I kind of like, I feel like for me personally, it's given me more passion being able to do it later in life. I had every other world
Mhm.
experience, and then now I can put like my full passion into dirt bikes. Um, but I do see it's really cool to see somebody who has had it in their life pretty much all their life. They're pretty much
Mhm.
born into it, and you still have that passion and excitement. So that's really cool to see too.
Yeah, it's been awesome. There's been like peaks and valleys, I guess, with the discipline and just the interest in the sport. Like when I was young, it was just kind of something we did in the summer on the weekends for fun. We didn't really take our extensions off to do any riding outside of the hill climbs. And I guess the highlight of the race weekends
Mhm.
was riding my bicycles around with all my buddies at the hill climbs, which was always something to look forward to. But not the racing was kind of secondary for me. And then like
Yeah.
throughout middle school, late elementary school, middle school, and early high school, I was into kind of skateboarding, riding some BMX bikes, snowboarding in the winter a lot. And then I got the
Mhm.
freedom of my driver's license when I turned 16, and it was just wide open from there. It was on. I'm like, get me to the dirt bike track. I'll go ride inside, outside, wherever I can, as much as I can. And then it just gradually I became more independent and started getting my own money and my own way to get to the tracks, and just kept putting
Mhm.
more and more effort in throughout.
That's awesome. So, what discipline did you start out in when you started racing?
Yeah, hill climb right away, and then we dabbled and would do,
Okay.
I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 motocrosses a year. So really just hill climb.
So, like, as a child, you're doing these insane climbs, or is there like a baby hill for the kids?
There's not a baby hill, but I guess when you're on a JR50, you only
Oh my
make it
god.
up 45, 50 feet for the first few rides. So a lot of our
Oh
district
my
hills,
god.
yeah, it's so funny. But it's like probably one of the funniest things when you see hill climb like a little 4-year-old on a Honda 50 or something, and they're just putting up the hill like as slow as their balance will let them. It's pretty
Oh, that's
awesome.
insane to me.
Hmm. Yeah,
I have
a
a
lot
friend
of
whose little 4-year-old, he's doing
Mhm.
hard enduro on his little bike,
Yeah.
and I think that that's so crazy. But now, like, I can't imagine watching this little kid do like a legit hill climb. Like, oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, most of the district hill climbs that you race as an amateur, they're a little bit more mild than like the videos that you're probably used to seeing, or like the Brick Mine in North Dakota or anything. They're all pretty groomed and a little bit less steep, and just we call them like more speed hills. But they're still like it's a
Mhm.
huge thing when you're, I don't know, 2.5 feet tall or 3 feet tall, staring up a 300-foot hill that you're like, there's no way I'm making it up this. Pretty intimidating.
Oh my god. I have a friend, Dylan, who like pretty much grew up in Jawbone Canyon in
Mhm.
California, and I feel like he was probably like that, like just doing insane hill climbs at a young age.
Mhm.
Just
I'm
like
sure,
he's
yeah.
so good at them now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I cannot even imagine because like I know how I feel when I go up to him. I just started doing hill climbs like recently and they
Mhm.
scare me.
Yeah,
But, like,
they can be super intimidating.
mhm.
It's and then it's
Yeah,
crazy, like
I did my first really long one, at Jawbone, what was it, like, a month and a half ago or 2 months ago,
Mhm.
like, when I hit the hill and I was like, "All I can see is the sky." I'm like, "This is
Yeah,
so intense."
exactly.
And I'm like trying to figure out, like, 'cause I'm so small, I'm only 5 feet
Mhm.
tall. So, like, I looking over and in front of my bike, I was like, this is okay. This is the definition of just look ahead where you want to go, because literally all
Mhm.
I can see is the top of the hill. So,
Yeah.
and I honestly didn't think I was gonna make it the first time, and then I made it up, and I was like, okay, all right, I need to do that again. I probably
Mhm.
did it like 5 or 6 times, but yeah, it was really fun, but it was intimidating. I can't imagine
Mhm.
being like a little child and just trying to like up the hill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's crazy when you're looking up at them, and even to this day, well, not to this day because 'cause I've been to all the hill climbs now, but when I first started going to the new ones, you look at the videos and
Mhm.
watch all the YouTubes, and you go, "Oh, this doesn't look too bad," and you show up there, and you're, like, staring at the sky to see the top of it, and it's like, "Holy smokes, it doesn't look anything like this on video." So I'd get intimidated as a
Yeah.
22-year-old still.
Yeah, it's intense.
Mhm.
I Some of the stuff that the boys do, I'm like, I don't how, like just how,
Mm.
but they do it and they make it look easy. So I know it's doable. I'll get to it. I'm starting to do bigger lines now on the hill
Mhm.
climbs, but it's you gotta work up to it, and that has not been
Yeah.
my forte up until now. I mean, there's not a ton of places that you can just do a straight up, like, wide open hill climb.
Mhm.
So, at least not where I've been. Like, in my area, there's tons of hills out here, but they're all really rocky and super technical.
Mhm.
So, it's not really good training for stuff like that, I don't think.
No, no, and then that's where the consequences of not nailing it get bad, and bikes start tumbling, or you're sliding down the rock
Mhm.
faces, or anything like that. So it's pretty scary to not have something to work up to, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much my choices here are, small technical rock hill,
Mhm.
medium technical rock hill, and large technical rock hill, or I can get and this sounds like it's the same thing, but it's not. There's a rocky, semi-long, not as steep hill climb, but all the rocks are like this big. So like
Mhm.
they're not huge, but they're like basically they move under your tire and it's like riding on marbles. And the
Mhm.
whole time you're just like slip sliding around. So, but that hill is not super steep. It's not super long. It's just you have to know how to stay, and it's single track to go up.
Yeah.
So, and there's cactuses that line both sides. So it is
Oh,
very high
perfect.
consequence.
Yeah, exactly.
I have
Yeah,
only
so you
tried
gotta
that one once. I have not tried it a second time because it scared me.
Yep, there's a few hills like that out there.
Yeah, it's intense, but,
Mhm.
um, so how do you train for something like that? Like, what does your training look like?
Yeah, for me, it varies a little bit. So in the winter, I'm pretty pigeonholed to just riding indoor motocross. We've got like probably one of the best indoor motocross facilities in the country. I would have to say it's called the Cedar Lake Arena or
Mhm,
Sandbox Arena. If you're or
mhm,
if you're OG like me, I guess it's been around for quite a while. So I do a ton of that just to get up. A lot of the moto climb hills, they're starting to evolve where they're getting motocross style features at the bottom, little jumps and tabletops or wall jumps and corners. So all of those moto techniques are really valuable for being able to pick up time. And then I
mhm.
do a lot of single track riding. I really, really like and enjoy hare scramble races and just riding out in the woods. They're so much less maintenance, and we have a lot of woods property near me, so I can just go and make some trails and ride around and then just try to push the limits. So that I've found is really valuable for being able to ride a single line up the hill, because usually that's kind of what you end up doing with moto climb is you find the good line and you hit that good line as perfect as you possibly can over and over all day. And like
Yeah.
we come with the motocross style too, we come down usually less than a tenth of a second. Usually we're battling between hundreds or thousands of a second between first and second place, sometimes first and 10th place even. So you need to be as perfect as you
Wow.
can and like really nail the corners, hit the wall jumps, get on the brakes when you can, clear the jumps. Like it's pretty crazy.
That sounds So crazy. That's like way more
Mhm.
involved than I thought it was.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. There's
wow.
a it's pretty tough.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, it's such a short amount of time. Like, how long is
Mhm.
the average hill climb?
Anywhere from 7 to maybe 15 seconds is pretty average. A real long hill, you'll be up into like the 20s, low 20s or something, and then there's a couple hills that are 4 or 5 seconds long. So when you're talking that, like
Oh
the
my
couple of
gosh.
yeah, a couple of the East Coast hill climbs in the pro series, if they're only 7 seconds, like winning by a tenth of a second feels like you just smoked everybody, and losing by a hundredth is like, oh, I got some work to do still. So the racing is so tight, and which
Yeah.
is kind of a cool portion of it. It's not coming down to minutes or
Uh-huh.
seconds. It's like you have to just nail your line and be so close to perfect.
Yeah, that's so crazy. That's very
Hmm.
different from like hard enduro. Like, I mean, there
Yeah.
are times when it gets close, but a lot of the times it is not that close.
Hmm. Yeah, I was laughing a couple years ago. I did the Keystone Challenge as part of the US Hard Enduro series. So I spent like 12 hours on my bike in one weekend, and then the next 2 weekends I did hill climbs
Mhm.
back to back. I'm like, I don't even think I spent a minute and a half riding my bike the next 2 weekends.
Oh
So
my
it's
god.
opposite ends of the spectrum for sure.
Yeah. So you have done hard enduro. Like,
Yeah.
was that the only one that you've done?
No, no. I started doing them. 2022 was my first one. Matt Musgrove co-sanctioned a moto climb with a hard enduro the next day. So I just signed up for that
Uh-huh.
because I've always loved riding really technical trails at my house. So I'm like, this sounds like a really cool
Mhm.
discipline, just a challenge and a gnarly grind all the way to the finish. So I did that one in 22, and then I got invited to do one that Travis Pastrana and Ryan Sipes helped co-sanction in the Dominican Republic. So I did that one, which was like a
Wow.
pretty yeah, that was pretty way over my head for being my second hard enduro. It was pretty gnarly. And that was kind of what started the itch for me with hard enduro. So that winter, then after that, I bought a
Uh-huh.
300, and I did Battle of the Goats in 23, and then the two Pennsylvania ones, and
Mhm.
TKO in 23, and then in 24 I did one
Okay.
or two before I got hurt, and then I was done for the season.
Okay. So then I'm not absolutely insane because I thought I knew your name from hard enduro, and then I was
Hmm.
like, no, I was like, he's a moto climb guy. I was like, so maybe, but then
Hmm.
I was like, maybe I just heard your name originally in Minnesota when I lived there because, people know you around there. So I
Yeah.
was like, I don't know where I know him from. I feel like you're everywhere. Now it makes sense. All right.
Yep. Yeah. So I went in 22. I had my 350. It was strictly set up as a motocross bike, 19-inch wheel, tubeless
Mhm.
or tubes. I'm sorry, literal motocross tires on it. Not a single piece of protection anywhere on the
Mhm.
bike outside of my hand guards, and just went into it completely blind. And this was at the Bentonite Brawl, so it was a little bit
Oh my
different. But yeah,
gosh.
I was like, I had no
Yeah,
idea what I was
yeah.
getting
Mhm.
myself into.
Well, that's really cool, but
Mhm.
also kind of crazy. Like, that's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah.
Like, I cannot imagine going in and not having, like, any protection on my bike. Like, when I bought my bike last year, before I ever rode it, I bought, like, radiator guards and, like, everything. Like, I put as many
Mhm.
guards as I could afford at the time on it. Like, I was like, "This bike is gonna get dropped a lot." I knew it. Because I'm a small person, it's a
Yeah,
full-size bike. So, I was like, oh, man. I cannot imagine.
it was crazy.
Even when I had my TTR, I put as much as I could on it because I was
Mhm.
like, "I don't wanna mess it up." But
Yeah, it was
you're brave, sir.
I was just ignorant, I guess, because I'm like, I had no idea. But the qualifier for that day, we had to do like right out of the start, hit a concrete curb and do like a 3 foot splatter over a straight up and down wall, and then go over a concrete culvert, and then go up a hill climb. And if you made it to the top 32, you got to qualify into the bracket racing for the night show, which was like right after the moto climb that night.
Uh-huh.
And then they show up that, and
Yep.
there's a freaking K rail in it. You have to drop off a concrete block and then hit a K rail. I've never done a K rail in my life. I don't have any protection on my bike, no idea, and a moto tire. I don't even have a gummy tire or anything, and like stiff moto suspension. I was
Oh
I
my
was so out of
god.
my element, but I just had an absolute blast. It was like 100% worth signing up.
Oh,
But I
that's
was
awesome.
so nervous. Never been so nervous in my I don't remember the last time I've been that nervous. It was like
I
when I'm on the gate to hit a K rail and I've never done one before.
Oh my god, that's absolutely insane. That is so cool though. You're just like, "All right, cool." I
Yeah,
mean,
pretty
nervous
much.
or not, you still freaking did it.
Yeah, it
So,
went really well.
that's crazy.
Mhm.
Good, good. So of the hard enduros that you've done, which one was your favorite one?
TKO was my favorite, and then probably Roar after
Okay.
that. Those are both really fun, but I did, really well at TKO for my abilities, so that was obviously gonna be my favorite, but just the course layout and the format was super cool, and that was one of those events that, like, when I was stuck at college, not being able to ride dirt bike, I was watching YouTube videos, and TKO just stuck in my mind because it was such an awesome event. I was like, "I'm doing that someday," and then I got to go and do it and did really well,
Yeah.
so it's pretty tough to beat that one.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that.
Mhm.
That's really cool. So, what about on the moto climb side? What is your favorite venue for that?
That's a tough one too. The one that Jay Jelnick puts on at Brick Mine is definitely one of the best in the country for sure. There's so
Mhm.
many different styles of them, so I always kind of bounce around. But like Base City, which is it's the one I put on, so of course I'm a little bit biased there too. Basically
Uh-huh.
right in my backyard and a really cool one. So between those two, they're probably a couple of the most fun ones. They've got really good speed, but also a lot of technicality in them. So it's hard to find hills that incorporate both and also do it well.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know I had asked Jay, I was like, "How the heck would you train for something like that? Like,
Hmm.
do you just go out and you hit, as somebody who's new, like
Hmm.
you obviously like you've got the expertise to know what it is that you need to do when you start hitting a hill like that. But like
Hmm.
for somebody who's never been in that before, thinking about trying it, what would be your best advice for them?
Um, really, for me, I just think that somebody who has the bike skill and knows what they're doing on a motorcycle in general, their instincts are going to take over, and you're going to do well if as long as you're riding a
Mhm,
somewhat normal bike. If you're riding an actual motoclimb bike with extensions or like an open bike with a long swing arm and all this, then it's like you just have to
mhm,
put the time in on those bikes to figure it out. There's not really any other way. You do really well without it, but you have to kind of it's a totally different style of riding that you need to kind of figure out. And even for me, it takes a few races to adjust every year from like going to moto and cross country back onto the hill climb bikes because they have to be
mhm.
ridden so different.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, what does that feel like versus a normal bike?
Mhm.
I've never even seen one in person. I just know they look funny.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you can always tell them apart, right?
Yeah,
They're heavier, especially like an open bike. So let's stick to just for sake of conversation, I'll stick to the open bike here. They've got
yeah.
a stretched frame, so you basically can imagine like cutting your frame up above the foot pegs and right behind the steering stem and stretching it like 6 to 8 inches probably, and bolting in uh, 2 or 3 times the amount of engine from what you normally do. So my big bike is 1190 cc V twin. So it's 150
Whoa.
horsepower to the wheel, which is pretty crazy to imagine. Also, like a standard
Oh
450 is
my
about
god.
50 or so. So it's like pretty much three of those. And then the rear tire way out the back. So it's a lot of like you can see
Mhm,
any of my videos like hanging off the back fender, pulling back, getting the weight down, and making sure that your rear tire is always tracking. So that's going to be like a pretty standard hard enduro type style, where you want to make sure your tires on the ground, moving you forward, that
uh-huh,
type of stuff. But when you're riding it and jumping them, you really have to
mhm.
pull your weight back because there's so much weight up front, and then your tire is so much further back.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's that sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it
So,
is.
I
It's pretty cool.
go
We got
ahead.
to do a Red Bull shoot with Ryan Sipes when he was doing his General Sipes tour, and I got to like quote unquote teach him how to hill climb. He didn't need my help. He just needed some practice, really. But for the sake of the video, that was what we did. And he did a jump and just completely nosedive up going up this hill. And he's like, "Dang, you really got to get back on these things, don't you?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's a lot different than riding a motorbike." And then he did the next one and like flat landed it. And then he did the third one and started getting his tire to the rear wheel. And he's like, "Oh yeah, now I'm getting it." And I just watched him do laps on this practice hill until he had it dialed in.
Wow. That's so crazy to me. Like, I can't even imagine, like, the weight of that. Like, for me, I always think about falling because I fall a lot, and I would fall a lot trying to do that. Like, I cannot imagine trying to pick that bike up or having that bike. Like, I've seen those videos where like the bike comes back at you. Like, that
Yeah.
is so much more bike to be falling on you. Oh my God. Ugh, no.
Yeah. Yeah. It can get hairy quick if you got that thing chasing you down a hill.
Yeah. So, how do you feel then about like the stock bikes versus those? Like somebody who has like a 300 and wants to just come out and try hill climbs. Like, do you think
Mhm.
that's better or good for the sport, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, actually, so I mean, if we're talking like for the professional series that Moto Climb is, they've introduced a stock bike class as part of their professional format, which has been really cool. We've seen a lot of good growth from it. There's a lot of
Mhm.
guys like motocross guys, freestyle guys that we've seen, some cross country guys that have done them, and it makes the barrier to entry a lot lower. So somebody can take it their
Mhm.
300 or take their 350 or whatever bike they have and just sign up and do a race. And in the amateur series, we have
Yeah.
specialized classes for those too, so people can do them. They're just not as popular right now.
Mhm.
It's just, not a lot of people want to sit around all day to ride dirt bike for 45 seconds, which I kind of understand. So that's the one challenge that the sport has. But the stock
Yeah.
bikes in general have been great for the sport and the growth for sure. It's getting a lot more eyes on it from people inside the industry, and it's
Mhm.
helped bring a little bit of contingency from the series here and there too.
That's really cool.
Mhm,
I know that like I think it's Donner that has a hill
mhm,
climb right around the hard enduro. Do you feel like that like mixed events like that would help a little bit more because then maybe somebody could bring their bike out instead of just riding for 45 seconds, then
mhm.
they can go do a hare scramble or a hard enduro or whatever, as long as they don't break their bike.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, I love the idea of co-sanctioning events like that, especially like I'm biased, but if like, man, if it gives me a good way or easy way to sign up to do a hard enduro race, I'm all in. And I think a lot of the hard enduro
Yeah.
guys have tried it. I think Taylor Robert did the one at Donner once when they did the co-sanction, and like Anson Maloney and a lot of those guys up there have done them. Kind of dabbled in them a
Mhm.
little bit, but it's super cool and it makes it, if, like you said, if a hard enduro guy or a cross country guy is at Donner already to do their race, like, yeah, I'll sign up for a hill climb and see if I can make a few bucks back and have a little bit of fun doing something different. And almost always when somebody tries one, they say they love it. Like Ryder LeBlanc did Brick Mine one year and he just was in awe
Yeah.
with how much fun he had. And he's like, I don't understand how this sport isn't bigger because it's so much fun.
Yeah. That's so
Mhm.
funny. I was just gonna say I was pretty sure that Ryder had done it. So
Yeah.
that's yeah, I wonder if we could let's talk to Matt about getting more of those together.
Yeah. Yeah, he always has it in his mind. The hard part is that a hard enduro hill climb
Mhm.
versus like a moto climb, the hills that we need are
Yeah.
so different because we just can't take a 150 horsepower bike through massive tree roots and rock gardens and stuff. Like we'll destroy the bike or they're not set up for it, So that part is a little bit of a challenge to
Yeah,
find
yeah.
that right dirt because on the East Coast, like it's just
Mhm.
slippery rocks and tree roots the whole way up the hill, which I can guarantee you 10 times out of 10 the hard enduro guys are going to take their 300 up that hill faster than I will my 1190.
Yeah. What do you mean I would know about the East Coast? Oh my god. Yeah, that was, the coolest and probably saddest hill climb I've ever done because I made it almost completely to the top of this pretty gnarly climb, and then these guys crashed in front of me,
Mhm.
and it was in the clay because it had been raining, and I could not get going again in that. So I was like so proud of myself for making it almost completely to the top. And then I was like, oh, and that I had to do it 3 times before I finally got up to the top. So I was a little sad. And then I just lost so much time. But the
Yeah.
trying to do anything in clay, first of all, hard. And then
Mhm.
second of all, trying to do like a climb in clay when you don't really do a whole lot of climbs in general and you really have never ridden much in clay. So I
Mhm.
think the most exposure I've ever had to clay was in North Dakota last year
Mhm.
at the Schmedium Enduro,
Oh, yep.
and that was really fun.
Mhm. It's a
So,
totally
but
different
that
animal.
was my only experience with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so
yeah,
gnarly.
exactly. So, yeah, but I had a lot of fun. There was another climb that I did pretty decently. I fell a couple times, but like I said,
Mhm.
I'm not a big climb person. So like
Mhm.
I was pretty proud of myself for that. But there was a couple cool things that I was able to do. I I'm starting to like
Yep.
hill climbs, but not when it rains.
No, Battle of the Goats when it rains was my first like real US hard enduro that I did, and it rained so much. It
Mhm.
was started downpouring on our qualifier right before it, and
Yeah.
it was so hard. I just struggled. I'm like, this is the gnarliest crap I've ever done. It was so
Yeah.
difficult. I could not believe it. And just like
Yeah.
you said, everything is slippery like ice. You'd get halfway up a hill and slide the
Yep.
rest of the way back down, and the rocks are slippery. It's like, oh my God. It's just relentless.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was just like, "Why did I pick this to do again?" But, I
Yep.
mean, I've ridden there multiple times, and I've ridden there when it rains, but it has never rained that much. Because last year it was really dry, and
Hmm.
except around the hurricane, but then I didn't go and ride it until, like, way later. Um, but yeah, it was absolutely insane. I think it rained from, like, Tuesday to Friday, then it let up for a little bit. Like, it didn't rain, like, straight through, but it, let up a little bit here and there, um and then Friday night, it just was downpouring for, like, 4
Hmm.
hours. I think it stopped at, like, 6 or 7 AM, and then the race started at least my qualifier started at
Yep.
9. And so I was like, "This is great. This is so great. I'm so
It's,
excited." But
yeah, it's just demoralizing when that
oh,
happens.
well, I mean, I knew that I was not fully ready for the hard enduro, first of
Hmm.
all. Second of all, I knew as soon as they said it was gonna be raining, I was like, "Yep, I'm gonna get my butt kicked."
Hmm.
But, I mean, I had so much fun doing it, and that's what I've wanted to do for years. So,
Hmm.
I did it, and now I get to learn from it and move on, and I'm going back to California next week to go work on hill climbs because that was one of the hardest things. And in Jawbone, and then there's, like, another place that I've been, it's really loose or it's sandy, so then it's the closest thing that I can get to clay and stuff
Hmm.
like that, like mud, um, because we don't have moisture out here in the Southwest, like,
Hmm.
we don't get rain, so I have to figure out other ways to try and train that, so I figure sandier climbs maybe would be semi-similar?
Yeah, that's perfect training. It's something similar, and like you said, it's all about keeping your momentum up and not making mistakes up the hill. So that'll
Mhm.
be great practice.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna hit there's a couple bigger lines that my buddy last time told me. He's like, "You're not allowed to do this one anymore." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah," he's like, "That was too easy." He's like, "You gotta do that one over there." And
Yeah.
I was like, that was like twice as long." He's like, "You could do it." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Oh, just be careful, cause like, towards the top of that one, there's, like, rocks." And I was like, "What do you like?" 'Cause, he's really good. Like, he's, like, pro level, and I'm not. And so when he says, "Be careful, cause something's there," that means that it's legit, not just,
Yeah.
like, we have
Yep.
very different levels of things, and a lot of the
Yeah.
times he's like, "Oh, no, it's easy." And I'm like, "Was it though?" Because I didn't think it was. So,
Yep. Yep.
I'm nervous, but it's it's learning, and I love
Mhm.
learning, and I love being on my bike, so anything that I can do, I just I'll do it. It'll suck. It'll hurt. I'll
Yep.
probably end up crying a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah, but the joy of success once you get it is worth all that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I think one of the coolest things about dirt bikes is like I never had like a whole lot of confidence growing up, but I have stupid amounts of confidence when I'm on my bike. When I'm
Mhm.
on my bike, I'm like, yeah, maybe I could do that. It's kind of scary. Like I
Mhm.
like going up climbs that have rocks at the top. Like there was one in Battle of the Goats and I didn't even think about it. I just hit it and did it and I was like I got I lost it up at the top because like I kind of jumped it and when I landed my rear tire slid out and I
Mhm.
just like was laughing in the mud and I was like I can't believe I just did that. That was so cool because it was like
Yeah.
super steep and then there's like this giant like 2-foot rock at the top that you just have to
Mhm.
like I was like I don't really know how to do this. Like I don't know how I'm supposed to hit this. I don't have these skills, but apparently I hadn't enough to get up. I just didn't
Mhm.
have enough to land it. So, but
You got past the hard part and then fell though. That's the way to do it.
yeah. That's oh, I am so good at that. I have done that so many times where like I make it to the top of a feature or through something and then I immediately fall afterwards. And I'm
Yep.
like, whatever, I made it.
Yeah,
So
as long as you're past the hard stuff.
exactly. So I mean sometimes I fall during the hard stuff, but I'm still learning, so that's
Mhm.
fine.
Yep.
But that's what I was saying, like, about the hard part about learning how to do, like, hill climbs like you guys do. Like, I, uh, like, it scares me when I don't make a climb and the bike comes back at me. Like,
Mhm.
that is so scary. Do you even have that happen to you very often anymore?
No, on with like what we're doing in the hills that we're doing, most of that's like controlled. And if you want to, 99% of the time, if you go up and like get stuck on a big wall or something and you just try to tip over or try to like stick a handlebar or a foot peg in the dirt, your bike will just kind of slide and you can kind of hang on to it and it'll be all right. It's when you start letting go of the bike and pitching it, which I do in hard enduro all the time, and I see a lot of people doing it. That's where they start bouncing because they hit the wrong way, and then all of a sudden they're
Yeah.
rolling. But it's like in hard enduro, you're so damn desperate to
Mhm.
get over the hill. I don't care. I do the same thing, but I do not pitch a hill climb bike like I do my 300. So we can avoid that usually. But I've had a
Okay.
few pretty good ones come down after me, and it's always scary.
Oh, I can't even imagine. So, is it I don't know anything really. I'm just new to this
Hmm.
discipline and watching it. Are there like a lot of injuries that happen or like especially like in the amateur level, um, do you have like a lot of gnarly crashes that happen or is it pretty like controlled, I guess, for crashes
As far as crashes go, there's some
or
pretty gnarly
learning?
ones with hill climb. We're going really fast, and like amateur
Mhm.
level, you're more gonna see like getting crossed up in a rut or something, and then getting like a high side that slaps you into the hill and stops you really quick, or like maybe a loop out and you land on your
Mhm.
back or something. Those will get you pretty good, and then the pro level, we see a lot of the big ones on more of the moto style hills. There's one hill climb that's unfortunately pretty well known for some big crashes over the top because we're going into the top like third gear wide
Mhm.
open, and then you're finding a little lip to jump off and probably jumping like up and over like a 6 or 7 foot straight up and down wall. So if that goes wrong, you're getting bucked over the bars, over the top, and then or maybe going sideways over the
Ooh.
top and that type of stuff. I've had a few pretty tough ones, just getting crossed up, going fast, and then like landing sideways or something. Like last year, I broke my foot really bad. I got hit a little bit of a kicker on a kind of like a off camber type jump, and I just high sided, or
Mhm.
I got sideways going uphill, and then my bike landed at
Mhm.
like on a big knoll, so none of my suspension even hit the ground. It was just like straight to the motor, and my foot got smashed between the ground and the bike, kind of. So there's
Oh
stuff
my
like that.
god.
Yeah. Yeah. Few good over the bar crashes we see every now and then, just hitting a kicker and a jump or something like that. But there's pretty gnarly wipeouts hill climbing.
Ugh. That's yeah. I just try and like when I watch that stuff, I'm like, oh my god, that's so crazy. And then I'm like, yep,
Mhm.
that would be me 100%. Like I
Yeah.
I basically study how to crash better.
It helps if you know. You can get out of a lot of injuries that way.
Yeah. I have actually started doing a lot better, like, especially on climbs. Um, I've gotten decent at, like, when my bike starts to get to a certain point, I just jump off of it because, like, I can
Mhm.
replace parts on my bike. It's a lot harder to replace me.
Yep.
So I've had a couple really cool moves where like this one in Utah, I got to the top and I hit sand at the top and my bike just like slid out and I
Mhm.
like kind of jumped off the bike and I did like a full spin and then my friends were all standing right there and I was like, yeah, and I just threw my hands up. I was just like, I meant to do that, totally.
Yeah.
But like I'm starting to get a lot better about it. But like I always say, I'm the poster child for who should not have been put on a dirt bike. Like I had zero balance when I started riding, and I have had to really work on a lot of static balance and like really, really work hard to develop any sense of balance at all. And I'm still working on it. I'm still gonna
Mhm.
keep working on it. Um, but it's been nice to do that, and then I work on a lot of mobility because of all of these things that we're doing. Like I said, I'm a small person, so anything I do on my bike involves me getting into weird positions.
Mhm.
A lot of my friends are 6 foot tall guys who can just put their feet down in a rocky section and they're just literally putting their feet down and paddling through stuff. When I am going through a rocky section, I have to be like completely off the bike on one side, trying to leave my leg on the seat so that way I have weight on it to give traction
Mhm.
to the rear tire. But then I'm like hopping next to my bike because I can't touch the ground very well. So I'm told it's super entertaining to watch, but
Yeah, it's such a
but
cheat
it
code.
requires a lot of like, oh, to be tall?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
It would be. I can't imagine
I
doing it being
I
short.
Yeah, being 5 feet tall,
Mhm.
it's life is hard in general when you're 5 feet tall, and then add in trying to do hard enduro, and it's like I have a friend who's like, "Dude, why do you even try and do this?" He's like, "This is the hardest thing in the world, and you're trying to do it on, like, expert mode, essentially," because he plays a lot of
Mhm.
video games, so,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I was like, "Well, I'm just crazy like that, I guess." There's, like something about it, I don't know, when I can get through something, even if I'm not doing it well, I get through a rocky section or up a technical climb or whatever it is, and it's just like, I did it. Despite all
Mhm.
of these things that are against me, I still did it. And maybe I didn't do it well, but next time I'll do it better and just trying to constantly improve, but it builds so much confidence and it just like I guess kind of builds a resilience because every time I fall, I know I'm just gonna try it again. So,
Mhm.
until a certain point, there are times when I've been on like there was a climb that me and the guys did last month that like it took me forever to get back down because it was so steep and I was like super loose and I was just super uncomfortable about it. And then by the time I got back down, the guys were ready to go and they're like, "Do you want to try it again?" I was like, "No, I'm good. Let's just go."
Yeah, that's what I absolutely love about all the hard enduro stuff is it's like the ultimate challenge and then nothing beats the satisfaction of
Mhm.
getting through that tough section or getting over that hill or getting past this rock garden,
Yeah.
anything like that. It's pretty much unmatched from anything I've done on a motorcycle. And it's just so fun looking at something and being like, there's no way in hell I can get through this. And then you get to the top of that section and you look back at it and it's like, I can't believe I just did that. It just
Yeah.
it's so cool, and it's like I haven't found anything like that as far as on riding a motorcycle that compares.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen videos of those hill climbs, and I've seen, like, a couple of them in person, just not when the events were happening,
Mhm,
and it's just like, I can't believe these guys take these bikes up this, like, this is
mhm,
insane. Because, like you said, it's a little different than the kinda hill climb that I'm used to for hard enduro stuff, like, it's y'all are crazy.
mhm. Yeah, we're ripping. Like it's pretty fast, or it's pretty crazy how fast we're going up through some of that stuff. And these, and there's some of that aspect too. Like you look at these bumps, or see if you can line up like a kicker and a ledge, and bounce through a couple of these holes and get through it. And then you do it, and you're like, wow, I did not expect, or it's surprising that you can link this stuff together to make a smooth run sometimes. And it just it works out when you're going fast.
That's so crazy. I'm
Mm,
I'm new to going fast. Like in the last probably 4 months, I've really unlocked anything past third gear. So
mhm,
like when I've gone up the climbs at Jawbone, I'm still probably only in third gear when I'm
mhm,
doing it at max. And at least so far, probably have to change that. I'm sure I'm gonna get talked to about it. The guys are really, really great at coaching me, and they tell
mhm.
me what to do before I do it, and I'm like, I literally tell them this all the time. I'm like, it is not that I don't want to listen to you. You told me the words, I acknowledged it, I understand what I'm supposed to do, it all makes sense. But when I start to do the things, sometimes my brain just goes, nope, and just like I don't remember anything. So
Yep.
then it's just trying to go off of instinct, but I
Mhm,
don't really have a whole lot of instinct in the dirt bike world yet, so that it's
mhm.
just kind of survival on the hill. Um, but
Yep,
I'm working on that.
it happens. I'm in the same boat when it comes to some of that gnarly stuff in the hard enduro. It's like I get going a little ways up it, and then all of a sudden it's like full panic mode, feet off the pegs, elbows down, and just hanging on to survive.
You're just like, ah, I can't
Yep,
do
yep.
it. But again, you can put your feet down. I don't typically I try to put my feet down, that usually ends up making me fall.
Yeah.
So like 9 times out of 10, I try and keep my feet at least on the pegs. Or like if I kick a leg out to try and balance myself, get it back on the peg as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
Because if I try and put my foot down, that just does not work.
No,
9 times
yeah.
out of 10.
Yep.
Occasionally it'll work. But um so can you do you guys even, like, coach when it comes to moto climb stuff? Like, is that even or is it just like, "Hey, try and do this and then go." Like,
Um, there's not really a whole lot of
you can't
that
really
happening.
session that.
Yeah, it'd be tough. I've had some ideas, and I've thought about doing it just because I would like to
Mhm.
enjoy, or I would enjoy and would like to try helping some of the youth, and work on a few skills. There's a couple skills that are really essential to hill climbing well, that maybe some of the younger kids miss, or don't get enough practice to learn, and that type of stuff. So
Mhm.
unfortunately, there's not anybody doing one, normal. Like I know you and Logan Kiddock talked a lot about what he's doing, and like in a dream scenario, I would love to be able to do something like that for the younger hill climbers. I just don't know if there's a market or any desire for something like that. Like I said, I've thought about it a
Yeah.
little bit, and a lot of those skills you can just learn by riding a motorcycle. So it'd be, let's go and ride this, and we'll focus on these few skills that are going to be really important for what you need to do. And I think it would be really
Yeah.
valuable for some people, but it's a little bit harder to
Mhm.
find the younger kids that are that dedicated to the craft as well. Like, everyone, any kid can grow up watching the Stu Baylors or Josh Tosts or Caleb Russells on the front line of XC1, or Tristan and Ryder and Cody Webb and all those guys, and say like
Yeah.
that's where I want to be, and I want to make a living doing that. But hill climbing, nobody's making a living, and it's kind of hard to make any of your money back unless you're in a really unique situation. So I've tossed around a little
Mhm.
bit, but I'm hoping once I start slowing down a little bit more, maybe I can help some people out in the future.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Hmm.
I've been around a lot of clinics for like enduro, hard enduro stuff, and one
Hmm.
of the things that I did see quite a bit was basically taking people to kind of smaller hills and just
Yeah.
having them do it. A lot of people want to hit it fast,
Hmm.
but making them really slow it down and trying to do it try and do it in first gear and lug up it, because then you're requiring yourself to use more balance and
Hmm.
things like that. So I've definitely seen that kind of translate. So I could see something like that being super beneficial. So that's kind of why I asked. But I
Yeah.
don't really know what it takes to do moto climb, or like what,
Mhm.
you said there's specific skills. So
Yeah.
that would be really cool. And like if you ever do that, let me know, because I would totally try to get there for that, because like it's so interesting to me. There's just so much to learn when it comes to dirt bikes, and it's like
Mhm.
you can forever learn, right? Like there's never an end to what you can do. If you feel that you for some reason learned everything in one discipline, you could always switch disciplines, and
Yeah.
like now you have to do things a little bit different, because the way that the motocross guys do things is usually a little bit different than the way that hard enduro guys do stuff.
Mhm.
So not always, but like there are things that are different. And so I just think it's super, super interesting. But yeah, I would
Yep.
definitely be down to check that out and
Yeah.
see if I can improve my moto climb skills. Maybe try one of those races one day. Cause
Mhm.
like you said, like I would love to do, like I did a GP in Texas a couple months ago.
Mhm.
Didn't know what I was signing up for. I literally just went to hang out with my friend and she talked me into it.
Nice.
But that was really fun. Didn't think I
Yep.
would ever like anything like that.
Mhm.
Um, I've done enduro, I've done hare scrambles, I've done hard enduro now. So I just want to be on my bike, having fun.
Yeah, you can't beat that. It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. So with you doing this for so long, you've had the opportunity to kind of travel around the country. Have you done any international travel with riding?
Yeah, we've gone, Matt Musgrove, actually, believe it or not, he's got his fingers in this too. He's a man of many talents, but
He
he's
does
helped
everything.
I know, it's so awesome. But he's helped organize a few trips for me to France to Hillclimb, which have been awesome. So in 2019, it was my first trip over there, and Matt organized that top to bottom.
Mhm,
We had gotten close just through a lot of idea sharing for Motoclimb and talking about that, and then I've always supported
mhm,
his series, and he brought it up to me and asked if I would want to do it, and got in touch with the promoters and organized that whole
mhm,
deal. And then in 2023, we went back over there as like a part of a USA moto climb team. So he invited some French riders over here in the spring, and then we went over there and he sent some bikes out, or two bikes out as part of the team. And then we got to do a race and kind of did like a podium of nations type deal. So there were three or four different
mhm.
nations there, and got to do that. And then I'm hoping to make another trip out there at some point. And like I said, I'd done a hard enduro in the Dominican ones too. So I've been able to
Yeah.
travel quite a bit, way, way more than I would have ever imagined when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't even realize. I mean, I guess moto climb you can really do it anywhere, and it
Hmm.
makes sense that France would have it with the
Yeah.
terrain.
Yeah.
But wow, that's cool. So, is there anywhere that you would want to go elsewhere in the world to ride, whether it's moto climb or hard enduro or whatever?
Yeah. I have an endless list of places I would love to go, but uh, what I really, really wanna do would be, like, the number one thing if it was a dream race or bucket list is keep honing my hard enduro skills for a few more years and then try to do Ayresburg once. It looks so
Oh
cool, and I don't
yeah,
know what it's actually like, but I think just the prestige behind that event and being able to see it would be really fun, and then try to make it to the
yeah,
main race and give it a go and see see how far I could get. That's definitely one of the
heck
top ones for
yeah.
me.
That would be awesome. Well, I'm
Mhm.
going at, oh my god, it's at the end of this month. Good lord.
Nice. That's
That'll
awesome.
be, yeah, I'm super, super excited. So, I'll let you know how it
Cool.
is.
Yeah, I can't wait to
I'm
hear
sure
about it and see it. That's sweet.
it looks huge on
Mm,
videos. So, like, and we all know nothing ever looks like it is in person. So, I can
exactly.
only imagine that I'm gonna get there and it's just gonna be absolutely insane. And I'm probably just gonna laugh and be like, "What is this?"
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That'll be
It's gonna
awesome.
be really cool though.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm
Mm.
rooting for you. Like you definitely,
Hopefully.
I bet you could get there. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool to just
That'd
give
be
it a
so
try.
cool.
Mhm.
So we talked a little bit about like your training. So you talked about like doing single track and stuff like that. Do you keep on with your nutrition, or do you just kind of, you're one of those guys who eats whatever, or are you really strict about it?
I'm I'm nowhere near as strict as I wish I were. I could start that off, and I've got a terrible sweet tooth that my grandpa passed down to me, so that part sucks. But as far as like meals go and race preparation, I've got it pretty figured out, and try to stick to a good plan, and stay hydrated and eat eat healthy meals at least before I'm racing, or make sure I'm a little more disciplined about it before that. But like overall, live pretty. I don't do anything crazy, but just try to eat normal, real food, and limit the sweets as much as I
Mhm.
can. But it's freaking tough.
Yeah, I've never really been like super super into sweets. I go through like phases where like I'll be really into something for like a week and then I'm like, "Ugh, I don't want to see that again for months." But
Hmm.
it's usually not anything like a lot of the time my cravings are like for like specific fruits. Like I
Hmm.
want mango like super bad. Like I want it now. Like
Yep.
but then I do occasionally go through like I had this thing for a specific like Lindt white chocolate for a
Hmm.
while and I was like, "Oh my god, I wanted it like every single day." Um, but other than that, I'm not usually too big on the sweets.
Yeah,
So I got
it's
lucky there.
it's a
But
rough life, but at least they don't make me sick or anything like that, so I can at least tolerate it and stay.
oh,
I
it's
feel like
good.
moderately high performing while I'm if I eat like that a little bit. So that's cool. I mean, it's you got to live a little bit too, is what I always say. I'm like, if I love them, I love them. So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, so you're getting ready for a moto climb. Does your meal prior to a moto climb look very different, or is it similar to if you were going to do a hard enduro?
it's actually, yeah, quite a bit different. Like if I'm gonna do a hard enduro, I try to focus on like really being having like a clean supper the night before and getting something that is, not like a cheeseburger and fries or something. Where if I'm at a moto climb the night before, I'll have a couple beers and a cheeseburger if that's what I want, and then clean it up in the morning at least before before we start racing, and then just staying on top of the hydration a lot too. Like the moto climbs, they're not as physically demanding, but they're long days, and we're just out in the sun and sitting in our gear all day because it's not enough time to get undressed. Like if you don't, if for me, if I don't
Mhm.
stay on top of it, it'll catch up to me towards the end of the day, and you start getting pretty tired, and then on top, like just getting dehydrated and getting the headaches and stuff. So that'll affect me. So I gotta be pretty mindful
Mhm.
of that throughout the days. But uh, then just trying, it's like it's really tough to stay on top of nutrition too, because I'm like in between runs, I don't want to go and eat a huge meal either. Like a hard enduro, you can eat a good
Mhm.
breakfast, feel pretty full, wait a couple hours, then you're on the bike for 5 hours, and you're not thinking about, oh, am I hungry? Now you're thinking about trying to stay alive out in these damn woods for the stuff they put us through. So it's a little bit of a balance to try to figure out what works for me, and
Yeah.
staying on top of it through the longer day like that, but not the last thing I want to do is eat a bunch of tacos and pop and then try to ride my Beal up a hill with a freaking lump in my gut.
Oh my God, pop. That's so funny.
Mhm.
I haven't heard that in a while. I haven't been in
I
the Midwest
suppose,
in a bit.
yeah, yeah, we're
So
weirdos
that
up here, but
that just like pulled me right back. I was like, oh my God.
that's
Um,
funny.
Oh man, it's so funny, like, when you travel, you pick up, like, little things like that,
Mhm,
um, just, like, little words. I've been all over the country, and I've lived in a lot of areas, so, like, I've
mhm,
spent a decent amount of time in different spots, so I pick up weird little things, and then when I'm in specific areas, or if I'm talking to somebody who has a strong accent, I'll start to pick it up, and it's absolutely terrible. So yeah, you can tell when I've been talking to someone from the Midwest. I had to work so hard
mhm.
this last weekend. I was around a bunch of people from Iowa and Wisconsin, and I
Yep.
was like, "Don't do it. Don't do it." But it was a mixture because then there's a lot of like people from the South, and like North
Mhm.
Carolina has its own
Yep.
like kind of accent. So it was really funny. It was like all garbled, but that
Mhm.
just like 100%. brought me back. I didn't hear anybody say that word last weekend. So
Yeah, and that's what's funny. Like I'm way western Wisconsin, so we're almost like I basically am just Minnesota. So the dialect in like
okay.
southeastern Wisconsin is nothing like what we have up here. We've got the Minnesota accent pretty good in my
Oh my
area.
gosh. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. I love that.
Mhm.
Oh, now I'm homesick.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not even from there, but
It's such a cool place. So
um
it's hard to. I haven't been able to leave, so I love it up here.
yeah, I love visiting, but every time winter comes, I'm like, no, this is
Hmm.
why I moved. Like,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
am not built for those kinds of winters. When I
They're
lived in North
tough.
Dakota, um, the weekend that I bought my bike, it was like negative 67 or something. Like, it was
Hmm.
absolutely insane. I was like, excuse me. Um, like, I don't even understand how it can be that cold, and people were out. Like,
Yeah.
nobody stays home in that. So, this is like a total and complete rant, but, like, there's still people who are riding their dirt bikes in the Midwest when it is, like, negative 10 degrees outside, and that is true dedication to
Hmm.
wanting to ride. Like, I'll ride until it's, like, 20. And then after that, I'm like, "No, it's too cold."
Yeah, I'm pretty soft, so that's why I ride inside all winter.
Yeah. I really need to go visit in the well, I don't really wanna visit in the winter, but I need to ride at that arena that you're talking about.
Mhm.
My friend rides there all the time. She's always like, "You've gotta come and ride it with me." But I don't do any motocross stuff. Like,
Mhm.
I only have 1 bike right now, so it is set up for a hard enduro that
Yeah.
is not the same suspension setup, so I'm like, "I don't wanna mess up my bike," but I
Yeah,
know it
that's
would
the
benefit
tough part.
me.
Mhm. It's good. There's like I said, there's so many different skills from every different discipline that translate into other ones, and it's valuable to get a good
Yeah.
variety of all of them.
Mhm. Yeah, and when you look at the pros of any discipline, I mean, they're all doing, kind of like a cross training. So,
Yeah.
like, I know the pros here in hard enduro, a lot of them do motos a lot. I mean,
Mhm.
you can see it when they go flying by, and it literally takes them 2 seconds to get through a section.
Yep. Exactly.
So, it's crazy. So, I know it would benefit me. I need to do it, but I also need to just get a second bike first, but
Yeah.
I need a new car and I need to like have money to travel and all of these things. So I just have to win the lottery. That's what it
Yeah.
comes down
That solves everything.
to. So, okay, well, so going kind of back to what I asked about the clinic thing, um, if you are going to give advice to somebody who is brand new on a dirt bike, so they haven't made a decision on what disciplines they want to do yet or
Mhm.
anything, they just got their bike. What's your best advice for that person?
My best advice is just ride your dirt bike, don't quit, and have fun no matter what you're doing, whether your bike's stuck on a hill upside down or if you're flying through the woods or riding a moto track. Just like number one is I always just remind myself, like, this is pretty awesome. I'm riding dirt bike. And even when it's not going well, it's going a heck of a lot better than it could be. And it's just like, and then like not quitting. It's so frustrating to watch somebody who can do something and they just get too frustrated and want to quit instead of taking a deep breath and working through the issue that they're having and then finding the success. Because if you are frustrated and you find that little bit of success that you get from not quitting, it's just like it just keeps snowballing. It
Mhm,
gets easier and easier to do it the next time. That's one thing I've always been really proud of, and I've seen
mhm,
with a lot of my friends doing the opposite. Is like, I'll try a hill 15 times and not make it and just keep trying it and having fun. And I've seen other people have
yeah,
complete meltdowns. And I'm like, that's not, you don't learn anything that way. So
yeah,
a lot of it's just, like I said,
okay,
stay calm and ride with a smile on your face.
I like that. I was doing that during the hard enduro. I was, like, riding and I was, like, smiling and I was like, "I should be, like, crying right now, but this
Yep.
is what I wanted to do," so
Yes. The hard enduros they're a whole nother animal because you get 3.5, 4 hours in of just getting beat down, and you're like, well, find me the exit
Mhm.
sign and get me the hell out of here. But even those, it's like
See,
the
go ahead.
like the fun for me, it always sets in like 2 or 3 days later. Like now I'm recovered, I'm back home, I'm not
Yeah.
stuck in the woods, and I'm like, you know what, that was really fun. I'm gonna sign up for the next one.
I thought I was gonna be like that, and then like I was like stuck at the bottom of this other hill. I'd been told that I had like 30, 45 minutes by somebody when they went by me, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try and keep going as far as I can. And
Yep.
they're like, are you sure? I was like, yep, I don't care. I'm gonna struggle through
Mhm.
it. And I kept trying, and then I got pulled off course. I got told to go back, and I was like,
Mhm.
okay, fine. But my
Yeah.
bike was upside down at that point. 'Cause I was like trying to go really fast, and like it was kind of a sharp turn, and I didn't take it sharp enough, and I hit this downed tree, and I went over the handlebars. And so I just like laid there for a minute. And as I was getting up was when the sweep came, and I was like, hey Chase.
Maybe some
So
help is
it
all
was
right
super
now.
funny. But yeah, yeah, I was all right with that. But um yeah, I didn't realize I was right underneath the checkpoint. So I was so close. But
It's so
you know,
frustrating.
it happens.
Yep.
So, but at the whole time I was riding back, I was like, my whole goal was to make one checkpoint. And for my
Mhm.
first hard enduro, that's all I wanted to do. Even though it was just the qualifier, um, I was really, really close. And I didn't make my goal, but I had a lot of fun and I didn't
Mhm.
get hurt. And my bike is still in one piece mostly. It's cracked, but it's in one piece. I cracked one of the plastics.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but I had so much fun, and the community around these events is absolutely amazing. And
Mhm.
all weekend long, it was just so much fun. I literally came out of the woods, and one of the top pros saw me and came over, and he's like, "Hey, how was it?" And I was like, I only made like half a lap." And he's like, "Hey, but did you have fun?" I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, it was great." And he's like, "Well, that's all you can ask for." And he's like, "Dude, this is really gnarly with all this rain." And he lives there. He rides
Oh,
out there quite often. He's like, "I'm not looking forward to this." And I was like, that's really
yeah.
cool. Like, what other discipline do you really get
Yeah.
the top guy? He's like in the top 3, I think, right now. Just come over to you and ask you how your race was.
Mhm.
Like, that was awesome.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I really love about the hard enduro scene too. Like you can show up there and pretty much have full access to any of the top guys that you want to talk to, and they'll pretty much always
yeah.
say hi and give you the time of day if you need it, which is fun too. It's pretty cool. Whole different
Yeah.
world than like motocross and that type of stuff.
Yeah. Well, and like Ryder LeBlond, I don't know if like he has major connections in the world or something. But there's all these people who've like broken down, or like something's happened and they've just not been able to, they're like, I can't get to this race. And Ryder just makes it happen. And it's like these are his like direct competitors.
Yeah.
And like Danny Lewis, for example, his van broke down in Indianapolis, and he wasn't going to be able to make it to Grinding Stone. And Ryder and I think it was James Flynn and somebody else like figured it out and made it happen. So he got to ride James's practice bike,
Nice.
and Ryder helped him line up a flight and like all this stuff. But like that's a guy who Ryder's competing against. Like,
Mhm.
and you're gonna make sure that he's there to race. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah, it
So
is.
I
That's awesome.
absolutely love that. Those guys,
Mhm.
they're all really, really nice guys. I've talked to most of them, and they're just super, super cool. And like you said, like you can't have that with motocross or supercross or anything like
Mhm.
that. I mean, to be fair, the fan base, as Cody Webb pointed out, the fan base is huge for that. So like they have to
Right.
like go through. You're just a number that they're autographing something for, because
Yeah.
there's so many people that have to go through. But you know, it's when you're in a smaller community like hard enduro or like moto climb, it's easier to spend time with people and to even remember people.
Mhm.
So I think that that's really cool, and I think a lot of our pros are also super humble. So that's also another really cool aspect. Nobody's like,
Yep.
"Oh, I'm so much better than you."
Yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe to each
exactly.
other, like the two top guys to each other or whatever, but like,
Yeah. And they may think it deep down, but at least they're cool enough to have a conversation with everybody before or after the race too. That's what I've seen. Like when it's time
Yeah.
to line up, they're all incredibly competitive, but they can leave it on the track, which
Oh
is
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's the coolest thing. But like, I mean, even like reaching out and talking to you, like I was nervous for that. That may be part of the reason why I was dragging my feet because like it's really intimidating to like reach out to people and like be like,
Mhm.
"Hey, I'm this like not to like degrade myself or anything, but like I'm not a known person, you know? I'm starting to be known in hard enduro now,
Mhm.
but like nobody outside of hard enduro knows who I am. So, like reaching out to people who aren't like really in this community is slightly awkward. Just because people are like, who the heck are you?" But, you know, it's really cool because like everybody that I have reached out to, even at higher levels, has been really, really nice. Like
Mhm.
you seemed really excited, and I was like, yes. And I mean, we have the podcast thing in common, so that was
Yep.
cool too. Um, but I really this was awesome because, like I said, I've heard your name a lot, and I was like, I didn't have a face for the longest time, and then I was like, oh, okay, so this is the hill climb guy. All right, cool.
Yep.
And like I said, I like gaslit myself. I was like, so he's not a hard enduro guy. Where did I get that from? I was like, oh, maybe I'm mixing him up with somebody else. And now I know I was right. So
Yep. I've done a little bit of everything that I can, and even like with your connections in the Midwest, I'm sure we've been at a race together and maybe just didn't know too. Who knows? So I've
yeah,
done a
yeah.
lot.
I've only done like I think the hard enduro was my sixth race ever. I did two
Okay.
enduros in Minnesota.
Hmm.
I did a hare scramble here in Arizona. I did the GP in Texas. I feel like I'm forgetting something. No, that's it. And then the hard enduro. So five.
Dang.
5 races. No, the Schmedium enduro in North
Oh yeah,
Dakota.
yeah.
I knew it was
Yep,
6.
yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So it has been 6. So,
Hmm.
but now I have to add hill climb in like a year or so. I have to give
Yeah,
myself time
perfect.
to work up to that.
Yep.
But it's cool to know that like I can take my 300 out there and
Hmm.
have a class for that, and I don't have to
Yep.
like you said, it takes those barriers down where you don't have to
Hmm.
spend that money and modify a bike, and I think that that's cool.
Hmm.
Like us normal people can come and try.
Yep, and that's the whole goal of it. So we just want they want
Yeah.
more eyes on the sport and more interaction from multidiscipline athletes, anything like that. So it's becoming more accessible, and then hoping when people get their foot in the doors, that drive them to want to do more and become part of it. So it's definitely cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm.
So, all right, then in the last couple minutes, if you have advice to somebody who's interested in motoclimb, what's your best advice for them?
For starting out hill climbing, it's literally as easy as signing up and showing up at the races. It's such a small community that if you have any questions, I don't think there's a single person at a race that won't help you. It's kind of like hard enduro. There's just so many awesome people that do it, and everyone's willing to lend a hand to help. But really, it's just getting trying to figure out where the close one is to you, and making a plan to
Mhm.
be there and just sign up for whatever. If you have a bike, I can almost guarantee there's a class for you. We have so many classes, and um, just go and try it. And most people that try it always come back, and that's what I think that speaks more about the sport than almost anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I think that that speaks volumes, like you said. I mean,
Hmm.
I think the same thing about hard enduro when people sign up for their first one and then they come back.
Yeah.
It's like there's a reason. It's really
Yep.
fun. You have to be the right kind of person to think it's
You
fun,
do.
but we're all kind of the same kind of crazy in hard enduro, and I feel like it's probably the same thing with you hill climb guys because that
Hmm.
that kind of scares me a little bit, but I'm also kind of like intrigued by it. So I don't know.
Exactly.
Maybe I have that same crazy.
Yep. Yep.
All right. And then the last thing is if you have any shout outs or thank yous you'd like to do, this is your time.
I guess I have to thank all the people that have helped me find the success that I have. You know, I've had so many sponsors over the years, but like my mom and dad have been huge and kept me going through a lot and gave me the support when I needed it. And then like Mike Bronk, we just had him on our podcast. He's been instrumental in helping me out.
Mhm.
And then just like some major sponsors over the last few years, Full Throttle Motorsports has been helping me out big time. Mueller Motorsports builds all my hill climb engines and
Yay.
makes them rocket ships. And Buell Motorcycles, they have
Uh-huh.
been supporting me at a huge level for the last 5 years now. They stepped up again this year. They helped me build my open bike engines and do all that. And um, there's so many people
Huh.
out there that have helped me out throughout the years. So I can't probably name them all, but those are some of the big ones that have been helping me. And then definitely thanks to you for having me on. I love coming on and trying to shed some light on the moto
Yeah.
climb world and tell a little bit of my story.
Yeah, this is so cool. Like I said, I was super intrigued when and then you started your podcast and I was like, okay, all right, this is great. So
Yep.
this is so cool. I'm really excited to hear more episodes and
Hmm.
just kind of see where you guys take that. Like that's so cool to me. Um I love seeing other podcasts and seeing just like we talked about, like more media and getting more eyes on everything, hearing stories from a different viewpoint. Because you guys obviously you guys have different questions that you're gonna ask than I'm gonna
Hmm.
ask. You guys have more of like the technical know-how and everything like that. So I think it's really interesting. So I like it. Got my approval. Not that
Yeah,
that matters for anything, but for
no.
listening to this podcast.
Yeah, we all appreciate it, and
Yeah.
anyone that listens or has any feedback, we're all ears, and appreciate anybody click and play on an episode for however long you do.
Yeah. And where did the name come from?
It's- we spent like 3 months trying to figure out a name. It's absolutely ridiculous, but and it had multiple variations, but basically in hill
Mhm.
climbing, one of the most important things about any winning run is that you have to find the line going up the hill that is the winning line, and there's almost always only one, and
Okay.
it's kind of a play on words to help, or because we want to go into stories about how people found their success and they found their line to
Mhm.
success via two wheels, and yeah, it's probably the
Okay.
best I can explain it off off the top of my head. So it's a little bit of a play on words and also relates back to hill climb. We wanted to find something that didn't pigeonhole us into the hill climb, but also made sense to everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just like in hard enduro, you need to find the line through the rock garden or find the line up the hill climb or through the tree roots or whatever it is.
Yeah. No, I love it. I that was immediately when I read that, I was like I had just done a rock garden that weekend, and I
Hmm.
was like, all I heard was my friends telling me, "Find the right line, find the line
Exactly.
that's the easiest," and I was just like, "Oh my god." So,
Yep.
yeah, I think it's very well named, and I'm super, super stoked to see where you guys take it. So,
Yeah, we're really
um
excited too. Thank you.
yeah, thank you again for coming on. Like this
Mhm.
was really awesome to be able to sit down with you, talk to you, realize that I did kind of know who you were more than I thought I did. So
Yep.
that
Yep.
still like just trips me out. But
So
cool.
funny.
Well, thank you again and I look forward to hopefully we can catch up again soon.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.